It's official, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is getting a sequel by the name of Retribution. That's pretty much all we know. And despite being one of the best VR titles, there are still quite a few additions we'd like to see in Chapter 2. Here's a list of possible new features that could make Retribution even better than the original. First up is something that was advertised as being a big part of the original but actually didn't end up playing that big of a role. Now what I'm talking about is the aspect of choice. Of course you are given a few tough decisions, but these are few and far between. And ultimately they don't usually end up having many consequences. The idea that you could choose to be a saint or a sinner and that the world around you would notice was very appealing, and I'm sure many others would also love to see this feature expanded. A way this could be implemented is the introduction of some kind of honor system, similar to the one used in Red Dead Redemption 2. This could decide the level of hostility from human characters and maybe even affect the choices you're presented with. Given how non-linear the original tried to be, I wouldn't be at all surprised if this was a feature we actually end up seeing in the game. Moving on to the gameplay itself, and more specifically the stamina system. It simply doesn't work in virtual reality. However, removing this system would require an entire gameplay rebalance, as the game would probably become way too easy. But seeing as the sequel is still very early in development, it's definitely possible, although personally I don't see it happening. If anything, I just hope it gets raised a bit, as the character you play as probably should be able to jog for more than 5 meters before collapsing on the ground in a fit of panting. That leads me to my next point, weapon durability. Just like stamina, it's far too low. I know it's a core mechanic in many survival games, but here it just feels a bit too extreme. Realistically, my gun shouldn't just start to malfunction after using a couple of magazines, and then ultimately fall apart in my hands a few shots later. It just doesn't make sense. Again, I don't want this feature to be completely removed, I just wish it was a bit more generous. In terms of the more technical stuff, the original game still holds up fairly well, but for some reason it does frequently stutter when killing enemies, and I've heard it's even worse on the Quest version. But apart from that, it runs well and looks great, so no complaints on the graphical side. However, the programming for human enemies just really isn't there. It works well for zombies since they literally are brain dead, but the humans have no such excuse. They kinda just stand around shooting at you while occasionally strafing from left to right. What I'm trying to get at is they basically don't even feel like humans, so let's hope they learn how to fight in time for the sequel. If you're wondering why I haven't yet spoken on what I want from the sequel's story, well, it's because we kind of already know what it is. I'll avoid any spoilers, but if you haven't played or finished the latest DLC, then it might just answer your questions. In conclusion, Skydance Interactive have laid the foundations for a truly impressive sequel, and as long as they can expand on the features they've already introduced, Retribution has everything it needs to improve on the original. That was a list of everything I'd like to see in The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Retribution. Let me know in the comments if you're looking forward to this hotly anticipated sequel and what new features you'd like to be implemented. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.